Welcome everybody to Baku for our team principals press conference ahead of the FIA Formula One Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Three with us today. Left of screen we have Jonathan Wheatley, in the middle we have Andrea Stella, and right of screen we have Alan Permane. A very warm welcome to you all. Andrea, perhaps we could start with you. Potentially a huge weekend for McLaren. Now, you've enjoyed a lot of success in your career, 14 world titles so far, and potentially another Constructors' Championship this weekend. Are the emotions different this weekend to 2024?
Well, first of all, let's go and win it, like it's not ours yet. In terms of the feeling we have at the moment in this quest for the 2025 title, yeah, they are different to last year. Last year, the championship came as a surprise, much earlier than expected in terms of the trajectory of the team. Only in Miami we could take the first victory. Actually, it was here in Baku that we took the lead in the championship, and at the end it was a great surprise and a great joy. This year we realized relatively soon that the car was very competitive, that we were in condition to win races, so it was more about keeping the concentration, keeping the focus, maximizing the potential available. And also this year we have one more dimension, which is the fact that we have also the drivers in contention for the Drivers' Championship.
Where do you think the team has raised the bar in particular this year?
Many aspects. Obviously in Formula One you try and improve in every possible areas of the going racing, but I would say if I had to pick one, that is from a technical point of view. I think the car itself is just a much better car. It's very innovative compared to last year. We decided to go for development in pretty much every single part of the car. We require some bravery in some areas of the car, for instance in the front suspension and some other parts that are less visible. So for me that's where the biggest step forward has happened. And obviously, like I said, the race team and the drivers themselves, we are all developed.
12 wins from 16 races. You're on 617 points so far. Can you beat Red Bull's record from 2023, 860?
Well, the record that Jonathan here and his previous team have been able to set as a benchmark is just incredible, is remarkable. For us, this is a reference, but this is not what we think about. What we think about is one race at a time, like we saw in Monza. Things cannot be given for granted. Red Bull was faster than us in Monza, in qualifying, in the race. We had a DNF in Zandvoort on Lando's car. So before we think about the final destination, we have to make sure that we maximize at every single stage.
Right, final one from me. Can we throw it back to Monza now? A lot has been said and written about you swapping your drivers in the closing stages. First of all, have you been surprised by the amount of noise since then?
No surprise really. I think noise around racing situation is natural. Formula One is a very popular sport. What's important for us is that comments are respectful. And when they are respectful, we welcome. We listen, we take them into account, even if ultimately what counts for us is the, is not the external noise, but what we make of it internally and how we set ourselves to keep going racing.
And once the Constructors' Championship is in the bag, will your approach to the driver's title change?
No, the approach to the driver's title will not change. This is not dependent on the constructors. The way we go racing is dependent on the racing principles, on the value that we embody as McLaren Racing, and also is a reflection of the fact that we want to protect the unity of the team, which is a foundational condition for the future.
Okay, Andrea, thank you for that. I'm sure
Thank
there'll
you.
be more questions in a minute. Jonathan, can we come to you now and throw it back to Monza to start with, just to Nico's problem that prevented him making the start? What was it, and are you confident that there won't be a repeat here in Baku?
Yeah, I mean, it's always painful when you let one of your drivers down as a team. You can imagine we've looked at forensic detail at what happened. We understand very clearly the problem very quickly, actually. And the team responded very well in terms of rectifying that. Even so, the last parts actually arrived here last night and were fitted to the car this morning. So that particular issue, I think we're on top of. And of course, core reliability is something that we're all trying to achieve. And it's an ongoing journey. You know, it's not always straightforward. These cars are incredibly complicated. The tiniest detail can make the difference.
What about performance then? I mean, the car was quick in Gabby's hands in Monza, inside Q3, obviously. Does that translate then to here? Do you expect to be competitive here?
I think the car's more competitive, full stop. The upgrades have been hugely positive, and I've said before that the drivers are enjoying driving the car now. They can really push the car and get a time out of it and consistently do that. We still have our Achilles heel from time to time. Zandvoort wasn't a great showing from us. I mean, fortunately, we got a result out of it. And Monza, the car was very competitive, and here's such a tricky circuit. You know, watch the cars going through turns 9, 10, 11, 12 and what have you. You know, I don't think anyone's having an easy run through there. And we'll see. I think we just have a more competitive platform, and of course our target is to try to score points at every race.
Now, qualifying, specifically, can we talk about Nico Hülkenberg? Because you have to go back to Canada to the last time he out-qualified Bortoleto. And Nico, throughout his career, has been recognised as a one-lap specialist. Is he having a particular issue with this car, or is it just a reflection of the job that Bortoleto's doing?
No, and I think we have to put it in perspective. Nico's a super fast driver, over 1 lap race pace. I mean, he's extraordinary. He turns up every weekend in top form. And if you actually analyse, as a team does, every single element of qualifying performance, he's had a run of a few things, self-inflicted, a few things that the car's been a bit tricky in some conditions as well. I don't think there's an underlying problem here that we need to be concerned about at all. And as with all of these things, it can turn itself around in a heartbeat. And when we talk about how close it is in the midfield pack and the fight that we're in, you know, we're talking often a thousandth of a second or 200ths of a second, the difference between getting through to the next period of qualifying. And I think that's just what we're seeing. I mean, if I look across the grid, if you're fortunate to be consistent top 10 qualifiers, there's bigger gaps between the drivers there.
Final one from me. Can we throw it forward now to 2026? Only 6 months until Melbourne next year for the first race. Can you just give us a little insight into what's going on in Hinwil and at Neuburg, and have you introduced any new processes to deal with the new regulation?
Well, it's a hugely busy time for every Formula One team, and everyone's focus naturally turns to 2026. We are on schedule with our dyno program. The engine's been on the dyno for a while now. The focus now is on reliability because, as you say, we'll be running the car in an incredibly short period of time. It's an exciting period in the Audi F1 project, obviously mating chassis and powertrain together for the first time in December. Obviously, our simulator program naturally starts to lean towards 2026 as well. But I think in both of those programs, it's a little bit too early to talk about performance, which might be your next question. And of course, we won't really know any of this until first qualifying session and first race in Melbourne.
All right, look, thanks for that insight. I'm sure there'll be more questions for you in a minute. Thank you, Jonathan. And Alan, coming to you now. Let's talk about performance with you. The car raced well in Monza last time out. How confident are you coming to Baku as a result?
Very confident. This car, as we've managed to put it, both cars into Q3, the 3 races before Monza. Of course, Monza is a bit of an outlier in terms of setup and downforce level, but we had a messy Saturday. We've had a good morning this morning. Both our cars in the top 10 this morning. We're fully aligned with our target of getting both into Q3 this weekend.
You say you had a messy Saturday in Italy. Are you going to change anything for qualifying here in Baku?
One of the things I always ask myself after every weekend is, what would you do if you went back again? And I think if we went to Monza next weekend, we definitely would do a different quali, certainly a different quali 1 program. I think here it's a bit easier to plan your qualifying. It's a bit of a Monaco with low downforce, so track time is invaluable. So undoubtedly it won't be 2 single push laps in quali 1. There will be multiple laps and multiple sets of tyres. So I think the circuit itself lends itself to a different plan anyway.
Okay. And drivers now, if we could. The silly season has gone into full steam ahead. And it seems that the 2 Red Bull seats are what a lot of people are interested in.
Me too. Can
we start by talking about some of your drivers? Isaac Hadjar, first of all. What are his strengths as a driver?
So, of course, the first strength is he's incredibly quick. And without that, all the other strengths are kind of insignificant, really. But so he's got the speed, which we've seen. One thing I like about him is he's ready to listen. He's ready to accept advice and help. He doesn't want to do everything his own way. He knows he's done, what has he done now? 15 races, maybe 16. I'm not sure. 16. So he's happy to accept advice and input from others and take that on board and learn from that. We can see sometimes he's a little bit harsh on himself, which he's working on, I think. But strength-wise, I think that would be the main takeaway, is that he's happy to learn.
Do you think he'd be ready for a step up to Red Bull Racing?
I think that's a tricky one at this time of year, and fortunately we don't have to make that decision at that time of year. At this time of year, I'm very sure, and I think it's been said that it will be later in the season, much later in the season. I think what we have to do for Isaac is to make sure that we at the track, or the trackside team, deliver perfection for him, so he's got a car he can perform well in. And he needs to perform well. He needs to deliver perfection as well. And I think we've seen when he does that, and when the car is right and the car suits the circuit, and he puts it all together, we can have a super strong weekend.
Okay, look, final one from me. Liam was in here yesterday, and this was a topic we discussed with him. What's he got to do in these remaining races to stay with the team next year?
I think the same as Isaac, the same as all other 19 drivers are trying to do, is execute perfect race weekends. There's no one's going to be bringing any more upgrades, or I doubt very much anyone's going to be bringing in any more upgrades this weekend. So we've got what we've got at the track. We've got the car that we've got, and so it's for him and his engineers and the support we have back from the UK and Faenza in Italy to deliver as close a perfect car as we can for him, and he needs to deliver perfect race weekends.
Right. Thank you for that. Thank you, guys. Right, let's open this to the floor now. Who's first, please? Yeah, at the front.
Nigel Chu, Sky Sports. Question for Andrea. You said after Monza you would review the situation and discuss the swapping of the drivers. Going forward, has anything changed regarding team orders or swapping? And if so, what has changed?
Like after every race weekend, we review how we operate, the decisions we make, like the driving and so on. We did the same after Monza, and we could confirm that the way we operated is what we intended, is what we can confirm for the future. So while we remain open and attentive to anything that happens, I think that situation gave us a possibility to confirm our approach.
Thanks for that. Next.
Ronald Vording, motorsport.com. It's one for Andrea and one for Alan, if that's okay. For Andrea, it's picking up to what Tom said about the noise. Some of that noise from fans was the feeling that it's in certain moments too much orchestrated from the pit wall, this title fight. What would your reaction be to that? And Alan, you mentioned the strengths of Isaac. What are still the main areas for improvement in your opinion? Thank you.
Like I said before, racing situations are definitely susceptible to different interpretations. So we are comfortable with the noise, with the comments. We welcome the comments. Like I said before, what's important is that they always remain respectful. Respect is a very important value for McLaren Racing, and I'm sure for everyone. So no surprise, I think, around the noise. Well, from the pit wall, we execute what we agree with our drivers, which ultimately becomes our racing principles and approach. And in that situation, like I explained after the race, and like I think Lando and Oscar have explained yesterday, because we sequenced the two cars in a certain way at the pit stop, going with the car behind, then we required a swap, because this compounded with the slow stop led to a swap. But this
yeah, regarding Isaac and what he can do to improve, I think, of course, he's working on all areas and what he can do better. If I had one area he could do better on, it's maybe qualifying, and I don't say that as a negative. I think when he gets it right, we see what he can do in Zandvoort, fourth on the grid. He was heading for a similar result in Budapest and didn't quite get it right, got caught out by the wind. And there's a couple of times, which is completely understandable, I think, in a rookie season, where you don't put that final lap together when you're in that final session and the pressure there. So if one thing he could do slightly better, I guess, is some quality consistency.
Thanks, both. Okay, next.
Shiga Sports Japan, question for Alan. You have worked with 3 of the 4 Red Bull drivers, with 2 as team principal. What stands out working with Yuki Tsunoda when you were working with him last year?
His speed, for one thing. I didn't know Yuki at all before I started the team in start of 24, and I was immediately impressed by him, by his pace, by how he can handle the tyres, how he could, his qualifying pace, how he could get on top of the tyres as quickly as he did to extract the most out of the car in qualifying. That was the very first thing that surprised me. And honestly, his feedback and his, the way he is in the car, the way he drives, the way he is out of the car are really in line with the top driver. He's a great driver, and honestly, that was a little bit of I don't say it was a surprise. I guess I hadn't thought about it, but it was a nice surprise when I got to start working with him.
Thanks, Alan. Right, next.
Josh Utter from the race. One driver yesterday said that the one consequence of the budget cap is that the pecking order has been a bit more static this year compared to the final year of other regulations, say 2008, 2013. Is that something you agree with, or is that for a different reason, do you think?
Josh, is that to everyone, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a fantastic championship this year, haven't we? We've got the pack separated often by 0.8 of a second in the first period of qualifying. I do feel it's just a natural coming together of a set of technical regulations that have been relatively stable for a certain period of time. I'd say, from my team's perspective, I think I've been very encouraged by how we found performance on a car that was struggling a little bit at the beginning of the year, and we've turned it around in such a tight field. But I think it's more a factor that the technical regulations have been stable for a while.
Yeah, agreed completely.
Yeah, I would add that the budget cap is one of the most important aspects of the regulations that we have in place to guarantee the health and the viability of the sport. So it's, I think it's important we remark that. And at the same time, let me say that, for instance, McLaren have been able to make a decent step forward under the budget cap, because I think ultimately you can find performance just by not only resources from a financial point of view, but also from a technical point of view. So I don't think the budget cap is a limitation.
Thanks all. All right, where are we going next?
Rodrigo França, Car Magazine Brazil. Question to Andrea. Andrea, you had a very successful career in Ferrari and now are winning titles in McLaren. How do you compare the experience in these two teams, please?
Okay, I need to say that the differences are much less than one could think. I think even throughout my career at Ferrari, there's been different versions of Ferrari while you were under the same roof and the same name. So I think the potential, even the evolution of the team at Ferrari might have exhibited different differences or bigger changes that I might have found going from Ferrari to McLaren. I think certainly both teams, like I think every team in Formula One, they are characterized by trying to select the best people, try to pursue the highest standards. Definitely, you know, the saying that at Ferrari you may have quite a lot of external pressure coming from the media, from the attention you receive is like the motorsport national team, let me say. This is true. And definitely you have to cope with that. But at the same time, at McLaren, I have to say that you receive quite a lot of attention. And we were receiving a lot of attention when we were last. And we are receiving a lot of attention now. You know, today we've been discussing about Monza for quite a while. So many more similarities than differences for what I could have experienced.
Andrea, everyone talks about the passion at Ferrari. Do you experience something similar at McLaren?
When it comes to the passion associated to the being part of the team, the pride of being part of the team, wearing the jersey, being it the Ferrari or the McLaren one, I do experience the same. I do experience the same. And if anything, an important part of the way Zach and myself are trying to shape the team, create the right values in the team, they do have to do with the sense of affiliation, the sense of being willing to keep improving yourself, to keep improving the team, because we want to see this team winning. And you need to make sure that you instill these values within each of the 1,000 people. So when it comes to passion, when it comes to bringing emotions into the game, when emotions are diverted in the right direction, they are actually a great resource. So yeah, I would say that passion is a common characteristic at my previous team and at my current team.
Thank you for that. Next, please, Adam. Yep.
Adam Cooper, F1 for all three of you. Williams won the right of review case last week. Historically, it's been quite rare for the stewards to accept evidence and then change their decision. I just wondered what your thoughts were on that case. Was it a one-off, a special circumstance, or will it potentially encourage teams to challenge penalties more often in the future? I'm thinking, for example, something happens in the last race, there's maybe a constructor's position and a lot of money at stake.
Alan, I feel we should start with you on that one.
Thank you. I guess it will open the door to more challenges. I think, but for a right of review, you need to supply some new, significant and relevant evidence. And I think one of the things that they accepted was Carlos didn't have a chance to talk, so his testimony was new evidence. So that if you make a decision in the race, you're automatically going to have that as a chance to challenge it. I think what we want to see, what everyone wants to see, is racing and close racing and overtaking, and of course we were on the wrong end of it. But we don't want cars to have to follow each other and be bound by this very rigid thing. So if it does just open that up a little bit and mean that Carlos could be alongside there, I think everyone will welcome that. We don't want cars driving into each other, but we also don't want a procession, do we?
Thank you, Andrea, please.
Expert here, but
he'll get his chance.
Well, my comment is that in general I'm in favor of making the possibility to reopen a case a little easier. Okay, then this as soon as we state this principle, then the way this is actually translated in the real world becomes quite technical. But the message which I can give from a team principal point of view, I think, is that having an easier way to reconsider cases and rectify decisions is something that we should definitely make sure that is possible. And then I would leave to the expert the technicalities as to how you make this happen. But at the moment, or up until the last couple of cases, I think the threshold was too high for an acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, to start off by talking about protests, appeals and right of reviews. They're a fundamental part of the sport and they're very important. Each of them serves its own purpose. And I, as Andrea was alluding to, I've sat in more than my fair share of those in the stewards over the years. And the bar's been set very high. As Alan said, there's a lot of criteria that needs to be met, which is why it's unusual for them to be upheld. So I think what that tells you fundamentally is that all of those criteria, that very strict set of criteria was met. I also echo the comments about racing. It's absolutely paramount to the sport that the drivers are free to race, and one of our slogans is "Let them race" in the team principals group, and we're trying to support that. So look, I think it's good. There's a great bit of on-track action, and it feels to me like the right decision was made in the right of review process.
Okay, thanks all. Next one, please.
Shanna Lutgert, F1 Maximaal.nl. I have a question for Jonathan. You've worked with Max for a very long time, and now you're working with Gabi, who is also a very talented rookie who's showing quick progress, absorbing everything. Do you see some kind of similarities between the two of them, let's say from Max in his younger years and Gabi now in his first half of the season?
Yeah, I always find it difficult to compare drivers because everyone's an individual. What would I say about both of them? Both inherently naturally fast. Actually, both race each other on the simulator either side of a race weekend as well. Both just seem to have that capacity to drive the car, but have load more capacity left to think about the rest of the situation. I mean, obviously, look back to Max, he'd already served a pretty good apprenticeship at Toro Rosso at the time before he came to Red Bull. Obviously, I've known his father, I've known the family for years, I've known Max since he was a tiny little boy, and I've just got to meet Gabriel. But it's the same thing. These guys are ultra competitive, and they're looking for every single advantage in everything. They both share a great work ethic and a love for racing. You know, both of them, given an opportunity, are driving something else or on a simulator.
Yeah, we have listened to the team principal press conference of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix with the interesting press conference, interesting questions from the journalists and huge expectations from the teams. And of course, as you know, today, this race actually is that then the McLaren can be a constructor champion in this season, and they have the opportunity to break the record of 2023 that record was held by the Red Bull team. They have the opportunity to break the record. I'm not going to comment too much about today's team principal press conference. I will leave all of the comments, all of the opinions to all our viewers. Just I want to remind to all of our viewers, our subscribers, just to not forget to subscribe to the channel, to like the video, and of course absolutely to comment anything about the press conference. Just we are trying hard to pass this test period of the YouTube. And of course I want to say one more time that we have created our new Formula 1 sim racing channel. With me and with my friends from the beginning of the next season, we are going to do Formula 1 sim racing, and there your support is everything to us. Your support will make me really happy, and of course, my friends, we are going to put the channel's link on the comment section and description section, and you can find the channel on the card section. As I said, your support is everything to us. If you are a lover of Formula 1 sim racing, if you love Formula 1 sim racing, as I said, from the beginning of the next season, we are going to start their Formula 1 sim racing. And of course, just don't forget to like this video, to comment, and to subscribe to the channel.